In this introduction, we will now have a general overview of platform businesses and platform strategies. Okay, and let's start this session and this lesson with a quote. Platforms have existed for years. Malls link consumers and merchants, newspapers connect subscribers and advertisers. So basically, platforms have been around for quite a couple of years. It's not a recent or current development, right? So it has for many years already been here. What's changed, however, is in this century is that information technology has profoundly reduced the need to own physical infrastructure and assets. Okay, so this is actually really an interesting change, because at the end we don't need the brick and mortar anymore to build that kind of platforms. IT, information technology, has enabled firms and businesses to actually build platforms, but with less assets. Okay, so IT makes building and scaling up platforms vastly simpler and cheaper. Information technology also allows nearly frictionless participation that strengthens network effects, something we will see a little bit later in this course here, and IT enhances the ability to capture, analyze, and exchange huge amounts of data that increase the platform's value to all. Okay, so those are the major ingredients that today show that, yeah, of course, platforms have been around for a while now, but today we discuss much more about them because it's, with IT, simpler, cheaper, more frictionless again, and network effects can develop faster and simpler as well. And data, it's fueled by vast amounts of data today. Okay, so you don't have to look so far to see examples of business or of platform businesses. Okay, so the most known you have all in mind with Uber, Alibaba. Some of their businesses are vast platforms. Airbnb. Okay, and we've seen that those platforms and their spectacular growth abruptly upended entire industries. Okay, so this is the reason why today we talk so much about platforms, because with technology, with information technology, they have this boosts their relevance and the scope of their activities. Okay, so let's perhaps look into a first understanding of what platforms are. And in the economic literature, we often refer to platforms as multi-sided platforms. Okay, there as well I will explain myself a little bit more in detail, but multi-sided platforms are technologies, products, or services that create value primarily by enabling direct interactions between two or more customer or participant groups. Okay, so this, as a rough understanding, I will provide another definition in the upcoming lesson, of course. But this as well, perhaps in a nutshell, what platforms are. We see this multi-sided platform. Okay, and this multi-sided is something we that is detailed a little bit further down in this citation here. That is two or more customer or participant groups. Okay, so platforms enable types of customers, who I will refer to that term a little bit later again, but different customer or participant groups to interact directly. Okay, so keep this in mind. Multi-sided platforms is actually more than just a buyer and a seller, for example. Okay, so there are around the platform, there are multiple types of customers. So let's maybe compare that to different industries or business models that exist so far and that you're basically very familiar with. Okay, so platforms compared to other business models, and what I provide here is a very simple or even simplified typology Okay, so let's move from the right to the left here. The first one is a pipeline business. Okay, so referred to as pipeline business by Relier and Relier. What is a pipeline business? A pipeline business buys inputs like raw materials, energy, or services and combines them to produce a product service sold at a margin. Okay, typical business. Okay, business produces business taking raw materials, assembling those, producing the final product, and then selling that with a margin. Typical pipeline business. Okay. Second here is then the retailer or reseller. Okay. The difference here is that the retailer or reseller does not produce itself, but it buys goods and or services from selected producers and runs a value-added distribution business. Okay, there as well, I think as marketing or business students, you're quite familiar with what retailers or resellers are and what they do and how they add value to the final customer as well. Okay, so it's more in the assortment, in the assembly of a perhaps coherent, consistent offering of products they acquire or they get from producers and display and sell those then to their customers. Okay, so as compared to a pipeline business producing, okay, transforming raw materials into final product, retailers and resellers buying and then selling products to customers, we have now platform businesses or platforms. Okay, and there is a difference that is, I think, in my opinion, well explained here in this one sentence. A platform acquires, matches, and or connects different customer types and enables interaction. So basically what we've seen on the previous slide, right, with this first attempt of a definition here. Okay, so it acquires different customer types. So there's a little bit an idea of relationship marketing as well. Okay, you've already followed classes on relationships. So this customer acquisition often plays an important role here. So it acquires customer types, it matches customer types. Okay, so just remember what I said before on the preceding slide. It's multi-sided. There are different customer and participant groups. Okay, and what the platform actually is that it combines and matches that. Okay, in order to really see, okay, who has what to offer, who is someone demanding that, and then matches those two. Okay, imagine Uber. Okay, you have in Montpellier, you have someone who wants to go from the airport to MoMA. Okay, so there's the demand, and on the other hand, Uber has a network of different freelance drivers, for example, or different drivers, and chooses the one that is perhaps nearest by, and matches the need and the service, and helps the customer, both customers at the end for the platform, but gets the driver to the person who needs a ride to MoMA, and both are matched, right? So the driver who has a service to offer and he is nearby the airport, and you have the customer who just landed in Montpellier at the airport and needs to go to MoMA. Okay, so this is a typical situation how demand and offer are somehow matched through platforms. And multi-sided means that there are often more than just two sides. There's more than offer and demand, and specific offer and a specific demand. Okay, so there are different types of product services that are exchanged by different people at different moments. Okay, so it's really it gets a little bit more complex, and please bear with me, we will have a closer look into that a little bit further down the road of this course again. Okay, so this is important, and we have again this notion here of interactions. Okay, so that basically the platform is somehow an intermediary without intermediating. Okay, so that the platform just think of it as a mall, as a shopping mall. Okay, so the shopping mall just builds the roof and then brings in boutiques and shops on the one hand side, and customers, buyers on the other hand. Okay, so the shopping mall just builds the roof under which shoppers and sellers meet. Okay, and this is basically very similar in the case of all platforms at the end. Okay, except that online we don't have an actual roof, but the idea is really to have a common ground, a common hub or something like that, where offer and demand meet. I have added 3 examples here to give you perhaps typical companies or firms in the 3 business model types here. For a pipeline business, let's take the automotive industry like Honda, or let's take the aeronautics industry with Airbus, for example. Okay, so typical pipeline business, at least to a major account. We'll look into that today with bigger companies especially, the distinction is not that simple anymore. Okay, but let's take automotive industry, for example, Honda, really taking raw materials, different parts of a car, and then puts them together and sells that at a margin, with a margin, to the final customer. As a retailer or reseller, I put Tesco here on the slide. You can take Carrefour or all the other distributors or retailers that you know of. Okay, typical example here. And then we have a platform. Okay, like eBay. Okay, eBay. The idea that there are people who have used products they don't use anymore and want to sell this. Okay, so what happened on flea markets before, and flea markets was already a platform offline, is now happening online. Okay, which then enlarges and really expands the possibilities further, that you can find a buyer for your old pair of shoes or used pair of shoes in still wonderful condition, anywhere. Okay, you don't even need to live in the same city or meet in the same city at the end. You can actually find a buyer at the other side of France, for example. Okay, if you think about Le Bon Coin, might be quite similar as well to eBay, whereas Le Bon Coin has a little bit, at least, this the background idea of matching people who live close by. Okay, so this is perhaps to give you a general and really simplified typology here of the 3 business models, and in one sentence what in how far they differ. Okay, let's look for the remaining time here of the lesson. Let's look into a couple of examples. Okay, let's take Amazon. Okay, and as I said, those bigger companies, the distinction, the differentiation, what are they? Are they a platform? Are they a pipeline business? Are they a retailer? Isn't that clear anymore, especially if you talk about groups like Amazon, or we will talk about other cases just in a second. Okay, of course I took those big players, okay, right now, but it goes beyond that. Throughout this course we will see other examples with platforms, or even companies, heavy industry players, okay, as in the automotive industry, that actually developed or are developing platform businesses at the same time, because they see it's potentially one direction where the future will go. Okay, so it's not that simple to say, okay, this company is a platform, this company is a pipeline business. From time to time, you see that different parts of the companies actually have different business models. Okay, and one example is here on the slide with Amazon. Okay, so you have again this three-dimensional or 3-part analysis here with platform, retailer, reseller, and pipeline business. Okay, and if you take at the left here row by row the different activities of Amazon, you see that it's not, some are platforms, some are retailing, some are pipeline business. Okay, so let's take the example of Amazon Retail, right? Amazon Retail was where they started. Okay, they sold books they bought from the producers, from the publishing house, from the authors, and then offered that on one side to potential customers. Okay, so Amazon Retail, Amazon initially was still is no platform business. It's a reseller business. Okay, but at the moment when Amazon opened their marketplace, okay, enabling other sellers to actually sell through their platform, through their site, it became, at least this part of the business became a platform. Okay, because now the site amazon.com or amazon.fr is now providing a platform for sellers to sell to their potential buyers. Okay, so Amazon Marketplace is a platform, Amazon Retail is not. Okay, I think this distinction is really, really important. Okay, because we now talk a lot about Amazon right now, right? And during the pandemic, and potentially Amazon is one of the winners, perhaps, at the end of the day of the pandemic, right? So I won't get into this debate right now, okay, or even not in this course. We can have a chat about that beyond the course if you like, but Amazon, through its well-known site, and people now go on Amazon when they look something up, when they want to find something. Amazon has moved from the world's biggest bookstore to an everything store. You can get basically anything on Amazon. Okay, and the reason was that, of course, Amazon really got really famous. Okay, got well known, became one of the first sites you go to when you shop online at one moment of time. And at one moment of time, Amazon was perhaps not able or not willing, actually, perhaps to offer all the different kinds of products, and therefore provided the possibility to other sellers to actually, or producers to actually, sell through the platforms, through Amazon Marketplace. Benefits are on both sides, right? So the sellers then get access to all the customer base of Amazon already existent. Okay, so it's a huge customer base. It's a huge potential set of buyers, right? So this is why, of course, perhaps smaller businesses actually wanted to get onto Amazon. And what is the benefit of Amazon at the end? Okay, of course, it's becoming more, and it's covering more and more product categories. Okay, so it's more and more interesting for customers to go there, for example. Okay, so this is a major part here for Amazon as well. And how far is another type of customer. So the actual consumers, and how far the buyers, and how far did they actually benefit from that? Okay, so there as well, because it's one-stop shopping. Going on Amazon means I can basically find any product there. Okay, so at the end it might be a win-win-win situation if you look at the platform, the sellers, the buyers. Okay, so Amazon Marketplace, the moment they developed Marketplace, they entered the platform business with this activity. Okay, so then you have their cloud services, for example. You have fulfillment, warehousing. You have their delivery through Prime, for example, where at one moment they become a pipeline business as well. Okay, so you have their Android software with their operating system and their app stores, where they again are platforms. Okay, giving to app developers the possibility to reach a global base of potential customers downloading their apps for their Android phone, for their phones. Okay, then you have consumer electronics like the Kindle, the Echo, the Fire Phone, the tablet, and TV. Okay, it's a pipeline business. They are producing that. Okay, you have content production for Amazon Studios for their Prime Video content as well. You have the on-demand video where they are a retailer again. Okay, so buying the rights, the licenses to stream content on Amazon Prime, for example. So they are a retailer. And finally, you have gaming with Twitch TV, for example, where they become a platform. Okay, so you see the variety of their activities according to their different activities here. Some are pipelines, some are retailers, some are platforms. Okay, so it's not that simple. And I would like to point out perhaps one interesting fact here. So Amazon Marketplace was launched in the year 2000. Okay, and what you have here on this slide is actually in gray is are the direct sales, or the share of the direct sales of Amazon retail, basically. Okay, and on the other hand, in the greenish tone here, you have third-party sales share. Okay, so actually the sales through Amazon, but by third-party sellers, Amazon Marketplace. Okay, so when it was actually officially launched, the part was quite weak, if you want, in terms of the overall sales of Amazon, but it actually increased. Okay, so it actually increased over the years until 2015, when the share of third-party sales through Amazon as a platform exceeded the share of Amazon's actual direct sales. Okay, so the platform part became more important than the retail part at the end. Okay, so as a quick explanation here, so you have the share of physical gross merchandise sales sold on Amazon by independent third-party sellers, mostly small and medium-sized businesses, not to neglect, as opposed to Amazon's retail's own first-party sales. Okay, so I think it's important to emphasize here that those third-party sellers are small and medium-sized businesses as well. Okay, through Amazon having access to a large potential audience or large potential consumers. So I think this is really, really interesting that third-party sales share is now, and I stopped the analysis in 2018, but it's more than 50% of Amazon's overall shares in sales. Okay, so this is interesting. And it was, by the way, one of the motivations just a couple of years back. You see it here, the letter to the shareholders in 2018 as the source on this slide, that Jeff Bezos, founder and CEO of Amazon, actually had to send a letter to the shareholders to say it's okay. It's okay, because maybe they might be a little bit surprised by the fact that actually Amazon doesn't sell any as much as other sellers through their business, through their site as a platform. Okay, so in this letter, and I really invite you to maybe look through that letter if you want. It's still available. It's still up there on the internet, to see a little bit how Jeff Bezos tries and attempts to explain the situation, and in how far it's actually beneficial for Amazon and its shareholders then as well. Okay, so one example, and I think very, very interesting example of Amazon here. I will not go through all the GAFA or GAFAM here, but just have a look at Apple as well. Okay, Apple, where did Apple start? Okay, Apple was producing hardware, right? Computers. And we have that. Okay, Apple hardware now with the iPhone, MacBook, iPad, the Apple Watch. It's a pipeline business. Okay, this is where they started. But now if you add to that the Apple operating system, iOS, macOS, and WatchOS, it's a platform, right? It's a platform business. and if you look into Apple Music, for example, the digital stores, it's a retailer. Okay, so there again, you have the app stores then where app developers get access to iPhone owners, for example. It's a platform again. You have cloud services and Apple software where at the end Apple again is a pipeline business. Okay, even in the case of Apple as well, you have the combination of platform, retailing, and pipeline. Okay, let's look into some numbers quickly here for Apple as well. Okay, what you see here is their total net sales overall. Okay, for 2017, 2018, 2019. Okay, in the dark gray you have the iPhone, and you see a little bit the massive sales revenues that actually come from the iPhone. Okay, it was slowing down again a little bit in 2019. There, Apple is again throwing innovations and new versions at us. Yeah, should look up the current numbers here, but yeah, the iPhone major part in their total net sales here. Then you have in the slightly lighter gray the Mac, then you have the iPad, the wearables, and then you have in green services. Okay, and services include digital content stores and streaming services, so platforms, right? Basically, among others, but basically those are the platform businesses. Okay, and you see that the share in their total net sales of services actually increased over the years. From 14.3% of total net sales, it grew by 22% to 15% in 2018, and then grew by another 17% to 17.8% of total net sales in 2019. Okay, so there as well we see that okay, they still make major part of their sales through their devices, okay, through their pipeline business. But you see as well that the share here, the share of platform business models in the group actually increases as well. Okay, giving us an idea that already, okay, many platforms are born as platforms, okay, Airbnb, Uber, okay, but you have others like Apple, like Amazon, that were not born as platforms, but which added platforms to their activities, okay, and this is perhaps one of my reasons why I want to talk about platforms here, because platform business, a platform strategy is not reserved to a well-known few, to those internet actors or giants or whatever. It's a possibility for any business. Okay, it's just the mindset first of all that needs to change. Okay, and this is why I want to bring this platform course to you, in order that we discuss that, okay, that you get an idea of the underlying principles and mechanisms of platforms. And here in the case of Apple, you see a little bit the increasing revenues they generate through platforms. One step further, and now they're almost complete here, a quick look at Alphabet or Google here as well. Okay, I won't go too much as much into detail as I did for Apple and Amazon before, but here as well you see that basically they started as a platform, right? Search services is a platform. Okay, one address in order to get access to all the different websites on the web, basically. Okay, but they added pipeline businesses. Okay, so they started as a platform but added pipeline to that, which means at the same time that pipeline is not something of the past and everyone has to go into platforms. No, okay, but it's both, or all three are interesting in combining. Okay, so with the software tools for enterprise like AdWords, like the G Suite, for example, it's a pipeline business. For software consumer tools like Gmail, Google Maps, it's a pipeline business. Okay, and then again you have the app stores, you have YouTube as well, which are platforms, and you have of course more perhaps somehow recently as well hardware like the Chromecast, like driverless cars, major activity through Waymo was the major activity they had here, and this is a pipeline business again. Okay, so there as well, they started as a platform and they added a couple of pipeline businesses platforms as well, but pipeline businesses to their portfolio at the end. Okay, so I think it's really interesting to perhaps not stop just with Uber, Airbnb, and so on. Okay, go further in your analysis. Think about all different other companies who actually made further steps into platforms. Okay, so let's have a look into again differences, some key differences between pipeline businesses and the platform businesses. Okay, so pipeline businesses, in a nutshell, create value by controlling a linear series of activities, the well-known or classic value chain model. Okay, so you've seen that in strategies classes, or even marketing classes in terms of Porter's value chain, for example. So it's a typical linear value chain model. Okay. What characterizes the pipeline businesses as well is inputs at one end of the chain, let's say materials from suppliers, undergo a series of steps that transform them into an output that's worth more. Okay, the finished product. Okay, what I basically explained already, 2 or 3, before the different examples here. Okay, so what changes when we compare to that platform businesses? Okay. So first, or let's say there are 3 key shifts. Okay, so the move from pipeline to platform involves 3 key shifts. First, it's from resource control to resource orchestration. Okay, so there is something that you probably came across as this resource-based view of the firm and resource-based view of competition that holds that firms gain advantage by controlling scarce and valuable, ideally inimitable assets. In a pipeline world, those include tangible assets such as mines and real estate, and intangible assets such as intellectual property. Okay, just look into the balance sheet, and on the asset side you have all of those. With platforms, the assets that are hard to copy are the community and the resources its members own and contribute, be they rooms, cars, ideas, or information. Right? So it's not what the company itself controls and has as assets, but it's basically the assets that their different types of customers own and put into service of the platform at the end. Okay, so rooms in the case of Airbnb, right? So those who have spare rooms or are renting out their apartments for visitors, for example, or for tourists. Cars in the case of Airbnb, for example. Okay, so in other words, the network of producers and consumers is the chief asset. Okay, so it's not controlling the resource, but having access to this network of owners of those different resources is key. The second differentiation is from internal optimization to external interaction. Okay, so pipeline firms organize their internal labor and resources to create value by optimizing an entire chain of product activities from material sourcing to sales and service. Value chain, right? Platforms create value by facilitating interactions between external producers and consumers. Okay, no real value chain. Okay, it's just facilitating direct interactions often between producers and consumers. So because of this external orientation, they often shed even variable cost of production. So the emphasis shifts from dictating processes to persuading participants, and ecosystems governance becomes an essential skill. Okay, managing external interactions, external relationships with the different types of customers. The third major shift here is from a focus on customer value to a focus on ecosystem value. Okay, customer value, like the customer lifetime value, for example, is something you came across already before in customer relationship management classes or relationship marketing classes. And on my platform, you have on my course site, you have access, if you want so, to a relationship marketing class course where I talk a lot about different customer value propositions. Okay, but here as well, we go beyond the dyadic, if you want, the dyadic customer relationship to more like an ecosystem value, to a network of relationships again. So pipelines seek to maximize the lifetime value of individual customers. All I teach in relationship marketing, right? So individual customers of products and services who, in effect, sit at the end of a linear process, again, the value chain. On the contrary, platforms seek to maximize the total value of an expanding ecosystem in a circular, iterative, feedback-driven process. Okay, so at the end, it's not about just customer value optimization. It's about optimizing the whole ecosystem's value for, at the end, the different involved stakeholders in the network. Okay, so those are three major shifts. Once a company, or once we shift our focus from pipeline businesses to platform businesses. Okay, so in order to maybe close this lesson here, this introduction quickly, is that platforms are everywhere. Okay, again, it's not just Uber, it's not just Airbnb. There are so many more. Platforms are appearing in a wide range of industries. You have them in retail. Okay, I talked about Amazon Marketplace. We talked quickly about eBay. You have Taobao. Okay, one of Alibaba's activities. Especially you have media like Forbes.com, or you have YouTube, of course. Advertising, Google, Craigslist, Baidu, again. In finance, PayPal. Okay, at the end, banks, and or a credit card. A credit card is a platform at the end, because it links the shop with the buyer and the bank. Okay, it's a platform. Credit card is it's a platform, and PayPal is a platform as well. Okay, doing that online basically. Kickstarter, okay, one platform to bring together innovators or startups offering a new product, and potential buyers who are then backers, becoming investors into for those startups or producers. Okay, you have Alipay as well as another possibility. We'll discuss Alipay a little bit later in this course again. Okay, then we have mobile computing. Okay, iOS, Android. Okay, and Xiaomi. Okay, I added a couple of examples from China as well, because especially when it comes to technology, we used to always look over to the other side of the Atlantic Ocean to see what the US actually is doing. I think we should be interested in looking more and more at what is happening in Asia, and especially in China, for example, because their technological advances are really breathtaking. Okay, and freelance work. Okay, like Amazon Mechanical Turk, where you can hire workers for small tasks. Okay, I do that. I did so for my surveys or for my research. Okay, when I needed respondents to my questionnaires, and I already annoyed all my students, so I needed more. So I went over to Mechanical Turk. Or you have the Full Factory Artwork that are basically doing very, very similar things. Okay, the list goes on and on. Okay, so I could cite you more and more examples here on the side, but I think the message is clear. Okay, platforms are everywhere, and in tourism as well. Okay, platforms are no longer just reserved for specific industries. They are everywhere. Okay, and this closes this first lesson on platform and platform strategy.